The Imo State Wildlife Facility was under threat at the verge of collapse like other eastern states' conservation facilities. The entire Imo State Zoo was already obsolete. The entrance was in a deserted condition with derelict buildings, consisted of empty and dilapidated animal cages. It was in a condition of free fall and losing its potential in all ramifications until Francis Abioye assumed the headship of Imo State. Francis Abioye, a conservation expert and wildlife advocate in Nigeria, came to Imo State for a mandatory youth service about 2 decades ago. He earned the NYSC Meritorious Award of the overall Best Youth Corps member with his wildlife conservation project, where he led wildlife domestication training for youths across Imo State in 2003. Francis Abioye was employed in Imo State Civil Service and deployed to Imo State Zoo, where his passion for conservation led to the transformation of the Imo State. He rose through the ranks to assume leadership of the conservation facility and the management of Imo State Zoo. The vision to transform the zoo and make it one of the best in West Africa was vetted. He had worked to actualize this vision with a series of proposals to successive governors. The then governor, His Excellency Owelewo Charles Okocha, visited the conservation facility and tried to support the vision of its transformation. In 2019, when a new governor of Imo State visited the zoo,
and we are impressed with the potentials of the zoological gardens at Nekede. Mr. Abioye, we must commend you. You've shown reasonable mastery and understanding of the zoo at Nekede, and we're convinced from the guided tour we've undertaken and the explanations that if government makes a token investment here, it will increase the tourism potentials of the states. So we'll work with you. We'll work with you immediately to further give meaning to life for our people. And we're certain that if people come here for leisure and for relaxation, they will enjoy it. Hello, service.
Yes, sir.
You agree?
Yes.
So you'll be a visitor. Woman leader.
this led to the renovation and rehabilitation of all dilapidated animal cages, construction of historical and wildlife museum, and a new administrative building with digitalized system and CCTV in place to monitor visitors and animals' activities within the park. Semi-intensive free-range management system was constructed for delivery of expecting ungulates and other lower vertebrates. The modern facility was constructed to institutionalize acceptable best practices for keeping animals in zoos and wildlife facilities. Grass cutter multiplication, biogas technology, mushroom production, and fish farming were introduced. New animals were acquired such as Sitantunga, elands, bushbuck, gazelles, Maxwell duikers, porcupines, different species of primates, ostriches, honey badger, jackals, variety of eagles, python, hyenas, lions, giant land tortoises, monitor lizards, different varieties of birds like geese, crown crane, peafowl, whispering ducks, German pigeons, variety of snakes such as viper, cobra, boil pythons, etc. Different artifacts of animals can be seen inside the new Historical and Wildlife Museum, which provides visitors, students, and individual groups the opportunity to have a close look at the anatomy of the wild animals. The children playground and park were boosted with additional facilities. All these developments led to the increase of the idea of the zoo. The Imo State Zoo and Wildlife Park became an attractive place to visit for school pupils, undergraduates, and people from all over the state and neighboring states. To further establish the work of conservation in the state, Francis Abioye set up and inaugurated the first conservation clubs across secondary schools in Imo State and neighboring states in the southeast, with over 500 conservation club formations across the southeast region, the largest number in the history of conservation clubs formation by a single organization in the history of Africa. This provided 2,500-man roadwork for the historic World Wildlife Day event on the 3rd of March 2020 in Owerri, Imo State. Abioye, who is playing a dual role as both the general manager of Imo State Zoo and Wildlife Park and the national president of the Nigerian Association of Zoological Gardens and Wildlife Park, NAZAP, was able to host this event. This event was organized by NAZAP in collaboration with Nigerian Conservation Foundation (NCF), NESRIA, Federal Ministry of Information, Tourism and Culture, and National Park Service. Francis Abioye embarked on enforcement of extant wildlife conservation law by arresting and prosecuting people found to be involved in illegal trade of endangered wildlife species. They were arrested by the principal wildlife conservation officer and all animals, and the body parts of all endangered species found with offenders were confiscated, and these animals were rescued from their hands. Most of these cases were charged to court with collaboration of Nigeria Zonal Office in Imo State. Abioye's advocacy for curbing illegal trade of endangered wildlife species needs to start from each local community with NASAP regional advocacy group across the country. Confiscated chimpanzees for rehabilitation. Francis Abioye with his management was able to record successful captive breeding of rare species, most of which occurred for the first time in the history of Imo State Zoo. He recorded captive breeding of ostriches, gazelles, giant tortoises, grasscutters, dwarf and giant night crocodiles, guinea fowl, peafowls. 43 baby pythons were successfully delivered in Imo State Zoo and Wildlife Park for the first time in the history of Nigerian zoos. Above all, he was able to record successful delivery of numerous hyenas cubs. The progress being experienced at Imo State Zoo and Wildlife Park was severely threatened by the host community and some of the top political interests who would stop at nothing to convert Imo State Zoo and Wildlife Park to individual estate properties. Abioye offered great resistance and also rejected offer of 20 million naira bribe and 4 plots of land in the eyebrow location of the present Imo State Zoo. His blunt refusal to be compromised led to direct attacks on him and court cases. At this juncture, the Nigerian Conservation Foundation led support to Abioye's defense in court by hiring a lawyer to support the government lawyer who was appointed to defend him. During this period, the conservation area was set on fire 3 times by unknown individuals. The first fire outbreak was on early Saturday morning, 3rd of November 2019. It took the rapid response of the men of the fire service to quench the fire.
Please don't stand. Just be doing something. As you are busy doing something, we are overcoming the fire. Please don't stand. Don't let us give up. Don't let us give up. Do the best you can, please.
In December 2020, the painstaking efforts of the Zoo and Wildlife Parks management and staff was rewarded with successful captive breeding of West African lion. The lion cub was later named Roy during its naming ceremony a month after its delivery. This is the first time such amazing feat was experienced in the history of Imo State Zoo since 45 years it was established. The lioness in Imo State Zoo relaxing with her cub. This was achieved at a critical period when the state wildlife facility was not funded during the COVID-19 lockdown without visitors' patronage. Abioye was spending his personal money, including borrowed money from his trusted friends, to ensure that all captive animals do not die under his watch. He personally took responsibility of weaning the cub, bathing and feeding. Roy became friendly to him. The cub would always give him pecks after each bath. Roy later became friendly to the public and was used for conservation awareness campaign in the southeast region. The friendly Roy was adopted and its house renovated by Omobiko Lion Preservation Foundation and Justin. The first time such will happen in the southeast. Chief Omobiko was committed to a monthly payment for the lions feeding in Imo State Zoo and Wildlife Park. Abioye cuddling a tatalus monkey with 2 newly born hyena cubs, and the new commissioner, Honorable Maazi Uche Oya. It is a sad fall for a once shining and flourishing Imo State Zoo. A society that cannot be kind to animals can hardly care for fellow humans. Francis Abioye.